Hi everybody, welcome back to Life with Anita. Today we are back in the kitchen and we are making a traditional Portuguese soup called Caldo Verde, also super couve, as my vovó used to say. So let us get started. I will show you the ingredients and then I'll show you all of the steps to make this delicious soup. If you like these kind of videos, give me a big thumbs up and let's jump on in and let's start cooking. Okay, so here are the ingredients that we're going to need for our Caldo Verde. It is a very simple recipe, so we don't have too many ingredients, so I'm just going to go over them quickly. So I have my potatoes, I have peeled them and they're soaking in water, they're all cut up. I'm just going to tell you the amount of potatoes is based on how big of a batch you want and how thick or creamy you want it. So this is ours. I believe I want to say it was about 8 potatoes of various sizes, so they're in here. I may or may not use all of those, so we'll see how it goes. Some chicken broth, so I like to just use half chicken broth and half water, just to give it a little bit more flavor. The chicken broth helps. I have 2 onions cut up here, some garlic, bay leaf. Here's the chorizo I have. I find this one at No Frills. I get the hot one because we like that. Salt and pepper, and then here is our couves, like we like to call them, or collard greens. These ones are from my freezer, so what I do is I cut them up. So these ones were actually at No Frills once, so I bought some and I washed them and cut them up. And then I also have another bag from our garden that I'm going to use up. So that's what I do when we have them in our garden. We don't use them. Some salt and pepper, and then I've got some sourdough from a bakery here for us to use for dipping. So these ingredients, super simple, but it's going to make a delicious soup. So let's jump in and start. Okay, so the first thing I have, I've put some extra virgin olive oil into a pan, and I've cut up my chorizo into slices, and you just add it to the pan. What you're going to do is you want to get this all nice and crisped up. So I like to spread it all out on the bottom of the pan so all the sides get nice and toasty. So it's in here. So you're going to toast these all up. So let them in here. They're doing their thing. They'll get nice and crispy. Once they're nice and crisp, I will show you what it looks like. You can hear them start to sizzle, and it's going to smell great very soon in here. So we're going to let these do their thing. So that's all evened out. So they're going to get crisp, and then I'll show you what they look like when they're all crisped up. Okay, so they're nice and crisped up. So what I like to do is just take them out and put them on a paper towel. So that's what I'm going to do. You want to leave all the goodness that's in there because it's going to give your soup a lot of flavor. I also like to get my chorizo pretty crispy because near the end you're going to add splatter back into your soup. So I like to make it a little extra crispy, that way it doesn't get soggy. Okay, so let's get all of that out. It's gonna get kind of but get a little bit of the grease off of there. So you put that to the side. You're gonna turn your heat down just a little bit, and then you're going to add in your onions that you've cut up. There we go. You can hear that sizzle. Move it around. Okay. Excuse me. You add that in there. You want to get it all nice and crisp. Woo! Go. And then you're going to add some garlic. So I have some garlic here. You just add that in. We like garlic, so don't be shy. There we go. It's getting all spicy. So we're going to cook all this in. Getting all those juices. There we go. There we go. We're just going to let this saute a little bit, and then we're going to add our potatoes. Okay, so our onions are all caramelized and they look great, already smelling delicious in here. So the next thing you're going to do is add your potatoes, okay? So like I said before, I may have cut a lot, but we'll just see how this looks. So you just put them in. The amount of potatoes pretty much, you kind of do trial and error to see. And you also see how much, like how creamy or chunky you want your soup. It all depends on what your preference is. So I'm going to keep going here. You want to make sure you leave some room because you're going to add your liquid. I actually might be okay and add all of this in. Actually, maybe not. That might be it for because I want to leave some room for some liquid. You know what? I'm just gonna go for it. Add those all in. Okay, so I like to just kind of mix it around, get everything all mixed together. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit, get these potatoes a little crisp. So, there we go. So the next thing you're going to do is add in your liquid. So I like to do a little bit of water and then some chicken broth just for extra flavor. If you're going to do just water, you add salted because this traditionally this recipe is just water and with salt. But I kind of changed it up to do some chicken broth to give it a little bit more flavor for our preference. So I have some water here I'm going to add. So this is 2 cups of water. There we go. So I add 2 cups of water and then I'm going to add the rest with chicken broth. So I'm going to add that in. Cover the potatoes because we're going to get it. What is happening here? The little hole's not opened. I'm like, why is it taking so long to come out? There we go. Open it. There we go. So add that in. Cover those potatoes up. There we go. So it's all covered up. So we're going to turn the heat up and then we are going to put the lid on and we're going to bring these potatoes to a boil. Actually first, before we do that, I'm going to add the bay leaf to add some flavor while it's cooking. So I'm going to add 2 bay leaves to here. Maybe 3, that one was pretty small. So I'm going to add 3 bay leaves, pop the lid on, and let these potatoes boil up. Okay, so I have taken out the bay leaves and the potatoes are all cooked. So I just have my little immersion blender here. So I'm just gonna kind of break up some of the potatoes. This is all about what you would prefer. Pulse it, how creamy you want it, how thick you would want it. So I'm just gonna do, ooh, it's warm. Let's give it a stir and see what it looks like. Alright, so that is good for us. I'm just going to take this off, throw it in the sink. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is add our greens in. So some people call these collard greens. We call them kush. These ones were frozen in that I had bought. And 1 bag is from our garden. So there you go, and you just mix it in. Sometimes at this point you might need to add a little bit more water. So let's see what it looks like. So there's 1 bag. Okay, mix it in. There we go. Add our 2nd bag. Go. Add a lid. Uh-oh. Didn't do a good job on that one. So there we go, add it all in, get those two that fell. So we're gonna let this cook and break down. See, as you can see, it's gotten a little bit thick, so sometimes you might need to add a little bit more water to it. So we got that in, and next I'm gonna add our chorizo that we had cooked up that was sitting on the side. You add that in. Okay. So what you're gonna do now is just let this sit and cook for a little bit, let the flavors get together, and then we'll give it a little taste and see if we need to add anything. I'm just gonna turn the heat down a little bit. Everything's already cooked, so now it's just about marinating all the flavors. So let's give it some time and we'll come check it back in a few minutes. Okay, so we're all set. I ended up tasting it and needed a little bit more salt and pepper, but it's all done. Do you see how the collard greens have wilted a little bit? That's what you want. So it is all ready. I'm gonna dish it up with some of our nice crusty bread that we got, and I will show you what it looks like when it's all in our plate. Okay, so here is the soup all in my bowl, ready to go. It looks delicious. And then I have my sourdough bread here, buttered, ready for dipping. You want to have a nice crusty bread to do some dippage. So this is the finished product. I hope you all try this recipe and let me know what you think.